we talked to them about their rankings, and Jamin was the highest player we had ranked defensively. Well, he was one of the top tacklers in the NCAA last year. Pro Football Focus had him ranked high as the highest linebacker. He was ranked.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now. Stop the cap. No bullshit, bro.
I'm not buying it, Ron. Number one defensive player on your board? Get out of here. Hey, Washington football fans. Today, I'm going to go over our first round pick, Jamin Davis. I think he's a great pick, but I want to kind of bust Ron's chops here a little bit for some of the things he said. Listen, Ron, you ain't got a lot to kick it, man. Like, in Ron we trust. Don't break the trust with the bullshit. I understand you gotta say he's your guy. He was your guy. He's always gonna be your guy. Destined to be on the team. But hey, man, don't insult our intelligence. If he was number one defensive player on your board, why 6 to 8 interviews with Zaven Collins? Don't try to hit me with due diligence. How come earlier this week when it leaked that the Cardinals love Zaven, and hell, Belichick might even want him, it's his kind of linebacker, all of a sudden reports come out, Washington football team is doing the legwork to move up in the draft. Not for a quarterback, but possibly a linebacker? Ron and Mayu also called Davis the best coverage linebacker in the draft. It's pretty widely accepted that that's Jabril Cox. Even though Zaven Collins actually, his coverage grades according to PFF were way higher than both of theirs. But, you know, Davis is super fast with insane explosion. But I got my concerns. I have my concern. Kind of, you know, sometimes when they go for like the flashiest athlete, I kind of get like Al Davis flashbacks or something. I feel like I'm a Raiders fan for a second. But I mean, just look, like his relative athletic score that he's touted for is a 9.94. Baron Browning from Ohio State is a bigger boy. He had a 9.98. And then there were guys that were pretty close to the score, but a little less, but are way more polished at linebacker duties. Like, you got Jabril Cox was a 9.73. I mean, that's not far off. You had Pete Werner that shocked everybody and was a 9.52. I mean, that's right there with Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons was either a 9.53 or a 9.51. Either way, it's crazy that Werner was right there with those guys. Sure, being slightly faster, more explosive could mean higher upside. But man, those other guys are pretty close, and they're better linebackers. Like, better at the actual line playing of the linebacker position. I had Jamin as a third rounder before his pro day. And that was already based on his explosion and speed. Like, I watched his tape, like, I was like, hey, this guy's fast. Hey, he's explosive. Hey, you know, he's got some kind of ball skills. So his pro day didn't tell me anything I wasn't already grading. But, you know, he popped out a 42-inch vert, which is like record-breaking or something. So I was like, I'll at least move him up to a mid to early second rounder. But again, I do have concerns. I've mentioned in previous videos that that there's just, you look at some of his tape, man, and he looks lost on the field. Like, maybe that's just me. I'm thinking, maybe I'm just reading too much into stuff. But last night when I'm watching PFF's draft coverage, Chris Collinsworth, the godfather of that stuff, Chris Collinsworth says the same exact thing. Everybody's like, oh, talking Davis up, and he's sitting there kind of like, oh, I don't know. He's like, he just looks lost on the field sometimes. He said the same exact thing. I was like, damn, that really scared me that somebody who knows football way better than me agreed. And then there's the question of, why is such an insane athlete not a starter for 3 years at Kentucky? Like, Kentucky doesn't have the best of the best waiting in line like Alabama or anything. Why wasn't he on the field for 3 years? Now, he doesn't have a lot of experience in coverage. Like, he just does like drop spot coverage. Just, hey man, just run backwards like 15 steps or something. Nothing complex. And like, I'm really worried, like with the starting thing, I'm worried that he's a slow learner or something. Like, there's no reason that guy shouldn't have been on the field at Kentucky. Like, that freaky of a dude. It's got to be something. And then another little thing that kind of nitpicking, but he didn't do any agility drills at his pro day. 3 cones matter for a linebacker that's going to have to change direction in a hurry. Like, if this guy is supposedly supposed to play all 3 linebacker positions, I want to see a 3 cone. I want to see a shuttle. Like, I want to see some kind of agility drills. Something in there. He's just like, let me run my 40 and jump. And that was it. Like, I want a bit more. I know I'm giving Ron a hard time, and I'm kind of scrutinizing Davis here a bit. And I understand, like I said, no matter what, you always get your guy. Like, no one ever is like, damn, this was like my 10th guy down on my board. Everybody's got to say, like, oh, yeah, this is the guy I wanted from day one. You got to pump the kids up. You got to put on appearances. And he is a really good player. And he's going to make a great addition to his defense. He's going to ball out. I know he is. And if anybody can maximize his potential, it's Ron and Jack. Like, I'm 100% confident in that. And above all, I am so glad we went linebacker in the first round instead of, I'm glad they blocked out that fan media noise, like everybody mocking us, wide receivers. I'm glad they didn't go that route. When I watched the press conference afterwards, Ron and Martin touched on some things that, like, I agree with wholeheartedly, and I love hearing it. But when they were asked about the idea of trading up and the concept of mortgaging the future, Mayhew said, draft picks are very valuable. It's a means to get better, faster, younger, and cheaper. We want to build through the draft and supplement with free agency. Investing in this group with draft picks makes us better faster. Like, I thought, hell yeah, that's exactly what I want to hear. And then Ron says, like, he added on, he said, when asked, who would you be willing to give up, or we asked each other, who would you be willing to give certain things for? And like, what would you be willing to give up for them? And there were only a couple guys this draft they thought were worthy. And he said, if you get to the point where you're giving up too much and the guy ends up being the wrong guy, well, we need a guy in this position but how badly? And is it bad enough to handicap yourself at another position? Talking to the scouts, they just had other guys that are going to fit roles and play positions to be part of the reason why the team's better. So they're not willing to trade away, guys that are going to fill multiple roster spots, draft picks that are going to turn into players at multiple spots, having those extra picks to have more chances to get guys to fill those spots. They're not going to trade a bunch of those away just for one shot at a high risk position. No matter how high the reward is, it's got to balance out. And I totally agree with that philosophy. I think that's the smartest way to build a team. Like, you have to have absolutely everything in place before you decide that you don't need first rounders anymore. You got to be in I'm even worried about the Rams, but the Rams are a team that's in a good enough position that they can kind of afford to do that. That they can, we really only need this player, so we'll give, they don't have a first round pick for the next 5 years, but it's fine because they built a solid team up through the draft, and now they're just focusing on those little pieces. So as far as tonight goes, man, I really hope we double down on linebacker. We don't need to do it with, our second round pick too. But what I would love to see, I would love it if we found a way to get some extra picks. Trade away some futures, something. But I would love to see us pick up Kellen Mond. That would be amazing. I think any pick before the Steelers, we have a pick, we pick before the Steelers. I think we have a chance to get him. I think that's the only team I think we got to worry about in the second round is the Steelers. So if we could take him at 51, that'd be great. If we could trade up, if we could trade some futures to get some early seconds to pick up some other players that might be gone, that'd be great. I'd love to get Jabril Cox. I'd be fine since we've got Jamin Davis. Jabril Cox would be ideal, but Cox, Bolton, Browning, or Werner, adding any of those guys to what we already got in Davis, to our defense, it's lights out. That's we win. That's just how it is. And then also Jamar Johnson, free safety. I personally think he's the best free safety in the draft. Merrig is, more of a up close box type safety. I mean, he could do it all, but that's where all his production came from, was the slot in the box. And we got plenty of that on our team. So I think Jamar, I like him better than Holland too. I really think that Jamar Johnson is he's better at free safety, and he's better in the box. He's like the reverse of Merrig to me. It's hard to say there. Merrig's great up close and okay back there. Johnson's great back there and okay up there. Javon Holland's kind of just great back there, and that's it. So I'd rather have Johnson. Unless Cisco's that, Cisco would be good too. I could deal with Cisco just because he's a ball hawk. That brings me to a corner I would love to get. Paulson Adebo. Hopefully he can slide. Possibly even to the fourth because of the injury and then him being out. But Paulson Adebo from Stanford's a ball hawk. I'd love to get him to put on the other side so that Fuller can move back to the slot. That'd be amazing. Simi Fehoko, another Stanford guy, wide receiver, 6'4", 230 pounds, 4.4 speed. Ron is interested in a big wide receiver. Why not get a huge guy that's super fast and can catch? This guy will lay out for balls. He'll jump ball. He'll moss people. He'll break tackles. He'll run people, run through people. Like, Simi Fehoko is super underrated. He could be there, 4th round. And then for offensive line, Spencer Brown or Stone Forsythe. Just because we don't need a guy like right now, I think our offensive line's pretty good. And these guys are some serious potential guys. Like crazy physical upside. Both like 6'8", like 315, and just crazy. I think Spencer Brown might have been a perfect 10 in the RAS score. I'm not sure, but he's close there. And then honestly, if we end up getting JOK at any point after this, like I made a big deal about him not getting him in the first round, but at this point, the value's there. Like, I just did not think that his particular position was a first round type position. Like, I don't think box safeties are. Like, I kind of see him as a box safety, but I'm not saying that he's a box safety. I just think that overhang linebacker position, like, that's not a first round pick. Like, there's a lot of guys with similar skill sets, similar athletic abilities, similar size that are going to be there later. So if we get him, that'd be great. I still feel like with him even, it doesn't take away my desire for one of the other linebackers, though. So, I mean, there's him, Jacoby Stevens, and Divine Diablo. Those guys are bigger safeties that would be perfect for, that linebacker, that will linebacker overhang role. But yeah, anyway, so there's the video. That's the first pick, Jamin Davis. Some of my worries about him. And again, I want to say he's going to be a great player. Like I said, I was just busting chops. I kind of felt like Ron was going a certain way. It was a way I liked. And all the signs pointed to it, honestly. Like, if you just look at the interview numbers, I mean, the signs pointed to it, and it was what we needed. It's what Ron's had a history with before, like an Urlacher type. It's where he started out, was in Chicago. He's used to that. He wants that back. He hasn't had it since then. He had Kuechly, who was a different kind of linebacker, but still amazing. This guy kind of had like a Kuechly skill set with Brian Urlacher's size. It was the best of everything he's ever had all rolled into one, but that didn't happen. The Cardinals sucked. They have possibly the most interesting linebacker group ever with Isaiah Simmons from last year. He will eventually be better. Like, he looks like not a great pick now, but that guy's eventually going to be better. He's like JOK with 3 inches of height and 25 pounds of muscle. Like, that would be a player I'd be excited for at that position, but JOK just doesn't fill that for me. But yeah, they have a crazy interesting linebacker group, so I'll be keeping the eye out in 4 or 5 years, so hopefully we can give them a holler when their contracts run up. But anyway, thanks for listening. If you liked the video, share, comment, subscribe. Tell me I'm an asshole. Ron made the right choice. I'm just bitter. I'm a bitter Zaven Collins fanboy that didn't get what he wants. Whatever. Leave a comment down below. I love you guys. Peace.